everyone. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gents, it's Friday. I know you love Fridays. You feel like you're going to collapse, right? But you got to keep going. So here we go, ladies and gents. Friday show. Let's do this thing.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Yeah! Let's do this thing, Ham.
Hey, well done on that, man. Collapse. I like it. All right, all you business pros out there. Before we jump into the show, just a quick reminder, please subscribe on whichever platform it is that you're listening to us on today. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, drop a review, help other like-minded business owners find value from our awesome guests while we rise up in those podcast rankings. We'll sincerely appreciate every single one of you for it. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you on and learn from you as well. Go to www.businessbros.biz, schedule your time, and don't forget to follow us on all our social medias at Business Bros Pod. All right, everybody, we're so excited and honored to bring another incredible guest to the Business Bros Pod. Our guest today accomplished in 5 years what many of us are still trying to figure out how. With an unorthodox worldview and an innate awareness of how the world works, our guest learned the game of money in a way that enabled him to turn $2,000 into a real estate investment income that allowed him to quit his day job and travel full-time before his first quarter of life. Our guest sees the world through a very unique lens, one that has shown him that, well, he's an idiot. But so is everyone else, and we all need a little help sometimes in getting out of our own way. This high achiever believes he is here to help people do just that, and he's written a book to show others how to break the cycle of self-sabotage, stop being a detriment to themselves, and how to help them sprint forward to that first step rather than to fear it. Joining us today out of Boston, Massachusetts, world traveler, real estate investor, life strategist, and author of the book, Everyone's an Idiot, welcome to the show, Cameron Danalis.
Woo! All right, Cameron, let's do this thing. First of all, excellent choice in music for today. I'm a huge Eminem fan, and you picked one of the greatest songs in the greatest album, dude. Great choice.
Yeah, it's a classic. I love him, and I love pretty much he's my oldest favorite artist. Liked him since I was like in middle school.
One cunning linguist that guy is. He's amazing with what he does. Speaking of word choice, everyone's an idiot. You got to walk me through this, man. Like, what were you thinking? What were you going through? How'd you come up with that topic?
You can't handle the truth.
You're damn right. That's true.
Yeah. So it's funny. So I wrote the whole book before I came up with the title for it. And it was, trying to come up with a catchy, relatable, relevant title is one of the hardest parts. And I was talking to my family about it, and they were like, I was going on. I get kind of ranty sometimes. I'll talk about, people are stupid, life's dumb, everything's, just backwards, ass backwards in a way. And so one of my catchphrases growing up was just like, everyone's an idiot. It was just like, everyone is just so stupid. Everyone's an idiot. And I did it right then and there. My dad goes, there you go. There's your book title.
There's your book title.
Here's your book title. And I was like, oh my God, it works perfectly.
Oh, dude. So there's this saying that James always says that there's a country song for everything. Ham, every time we come across everyone's an idiot type scenarios, hop on here. What do you say?
God is great. Beer is good. People are fucking stupid.
We all are, man. We all make stupid mistakes. We all make choices that we think are in our best interest, and then hindsight, we're like, oh damn, we messed up. But that's part of the learning process. So take me, everyone's an idiot. Okay, you got my hook, you got my attention on your book. What's in there?
What's in there is me and my life, and as you said in that very amazing intro, is from 19 to like 20 to 25, I figured out how to break the circular stupid and actually get into what real life is supposed to be. I talk about health in there. I talk about, money and wealth in there. I talk about all sorts of things, but my main selling point, I guess you could say, is mindset. You can be the richest, strongest, fastest, smartest guy in the world, but if you don't have the correct mindset, it is going to go to waste. It's going to end in the toilet. There's people, all of those things, who are richer, smarter, and more everything than me, who have failed simply because they let their mindset sink the ship that they were floating on.
All right.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
You're always right. All right, I'll give you that. It is important. It is mindset. But before we even go any further, I know you'll get pushback, right? Because you're young and having a baby face, and one of the pushbacks you'll get is, well, what kind of help did you get? Well, what does retirement actually look like? Well, I mean, what life advice can you give me? You're only 25 years old. You get all kinds of pushback. So first, let's start off with the obvious one. How did you retire by age 25? What did you do to get there?
So yeah, that I've gotten that already multiple times, and it is a semi-valid point. But at the end of the day, everyone's got something you can learn from, whether they're old, young, or whatever. But my personal story is fairly straightforward. I lived a fairly normal life. 0 to whatever, like 18, and then I graduated high school. Didn't really know what to do. Poked around a community college. Worked at a restaurant, dishwasher for a long time. I wanted to be, I went to a police academy. I was going to try being a cop, and then I didn't end up liking that. And then I tried engineering, didn't end up liking that. So I tried all sorts of different things, realtor. And then I got pointed to the Air National Guard, which is like a lesser known, it's essentially just the National Guard for the Air Force. I ended up poking around there, checking it out. I liked it, signed up, and shipped off within 4 months. And between the months of January and July 2017, I used that money, and I saved up about 30 grand. And then I immediately used that to made it into a down payment for a multifamily house. And then I lived on one side, moved out of home at age 20, and then rented out the other side, which had my mortgage paid. At the same time, I went to school and worked all at the same time. And worked at a bank for a year, got my associate's degree and just general. I was going for engineering, switched it to general studies, but then I kept my expenses low, lived frugally, and bought my second multifamily house using the income from the bank and the military to do it. So now I have 2 homes, and then at that point, the rental income I was making was enough to live off of, and my job wasn't paying me that much, so I left it and decided to figure out something for myself.
That is not a complex formula, right? Like, this
really
is
A 10,
right? So
Yeah.
what made you special then? I don't understand. You're single, you're young, you're inexperienced, you saved money, and the bank just gave you money to buy property? Like, come on, man. You got to be pulling my chain here. How'd that work?
So that's the thing, is I'm not that special. I'm not that, I didn't get any outside financial help. It simply was what helps supplement is they count the rental income, the expected rental income as income. So you can actually punch a little above your weight class. If I'm making, 30 grand a year and the houses can reasonably make 15, I'm technically making 45. That means I can get the bank is more likely to give a mortgage in that way. But no, truthfully, it's really that simple. It's just, you just got to live a certain way, and not many people are willing to make that sacrifice and live that way. They'd prefer than now.
Let's talk a little bit about that sacrifice, because I said it in a funny way, but being able to put that money aside requires a discipline, especially for someone at your age, right? Because at your age, I mean, you joined the Air Force, you were out to sea. I'm imagining this how you saved 30 grand when you were in the National Guard, right? You probably active duty, you probably didn't have very many expenses. But you must have been tempted by everything that happens with all kinds of military personnel, right? There's got to be that lifestyle too.
Well,
You didn't fall into the I'm an E1 and I'm going to go buy a Dodge Charger. Like, good job.
The stereotype is unfortunately very true. Much to my surprise, I thought it was a joke, and then I got in it. People were buying, $300 new boots that, you didn't need, or there was a strip club outside the base that people blow their money. There was some guy bought a $700 TV, and then in 2 months he realized he's getting shipped off to Japan and he had to leave the TV behind. He sold it for like $100. Stuff like that, just people. There was a bar on base. People went nuts, like they blew through thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, or they got home. People got Jeeps or Infinities or literally Camaros, and people wasted it all. Like we didn't have.
Well, it's certainly more enjoyable than my average day.
Yeah. So
it's true, man. It's true. Okay, but it's because they're young. Like think about that. Like, and I want to know from your perspective, because this always happens. They're young, right? They just graduated high school. Mom and dad probably didn't have or could afford a lot of the different things that they wanted in life. Uncle Sam gave them a paycheck on the 1st and the 15th of every month. They're putting money away. Now they have something of their own. They're out on their own. They want to, they want to be able to do what they want to do, and they make these choices. But then they look back, right? And now, at first, when you're first getting in the military and you're first comparing apples to apples, your paycheck, their paycheck, it's all about the same. And then you hit the fast forward button a little bit. You haven't been blowing your money like they have. You've been putting it away, and now you put that money to work for you. What's that do for your relationship? What all of a sudden the people around you start looking at you a little bit differently, start saying things a little bit different, start asking you different types of questions? What was that life like?
I've been lucky to be blessed with good relationships throughout my life, generally speaking. So they haven't changed fundamentally too much. However, there's been very subtle changes. People are asking me like, hey, how did you do it? Can we talk? Can I emulate something you've done? And that's also what kind of pushed me to kind of jot my thoughts down and start writing. And that's what ended up turning into the book. But yeah, the biggest universal factor I'm finding is everyone wants to do it, but no one has a plan for it. So they just like expect it to happen, or they'll stumble upon it. It's just like, no, you need to have dedicated and meaningful, reasonable plans to actually get these things you're looking for. It's not just going to happen.
How did you come up with your plan? Like, is it something that you had in your background? Like, is that something that your parents brought you up with? I'll give you an example. I'll tell you my story real quick, kind of short. The only thing I knew about money, or we knew about money as kids growing up, was that we didn't have any. We were broke, and we knew we were broke. And the conversations about money in my household were very basic. It was like, look, this is how much money came in. This is where all the money's going. And look, there's a big fat goose egg at the bottom, or a negative number, or some small number at the end that says this is how much we have left over. We always did fun stuff. We always did fun stuff as a family, church events, camping, all kinds of stuff. But we just didn't really learn much about money. We kind of got a dabble in business because my dad always thought it was a good idea for us to be in some sort of business thing. He just didn't know much about it. And as we got older, it wasn't until we got to high school that he paid somebody to come over, financial advisor to come over and sit down and talk to us about money. That was like the first formal education we got from it. And it sparked something that we've been doing for the last 20 years essentially after that. What was it like for you? Like, you're in this situation, you're doing things differently than your peers. Was it your background? Was it, your parents? Was it a life situation? How'd you get this mindset?
Well, yeah, it'd be foolish to not acknowledge, childhood and upbringing, because of course that plays a role in everybody. To give the short version of, I guess, my entire life, we were, I'd say, my family a little above average in terms of just, wealth and things. But unfortunately, around the age of 12, my age of 12, and the 2008 crisis, we pretty much did end up losing everything. We sold like everything. We ended up losing the house, and we ended up at a friend's house. I didn't really care in my life at that point. We still had food and clothes and house. I mean, we lived in a building, so I didn't really mind. But it certainly shaped the way I view security and money and finances. And as I grew and matured, I would just find more just stable, like planned, thought out, methodical type financial planning. And to the point where I don't buy excess things I need. Like I had the first couple of cars I had was like $1,000 1990 Lexus, or a 2003 Infinity, and like a 2007 Toyota Camry. Those are the only cars I've ever had. They're not turning heads, but they get you to point A to point B. I try to, I make my own food. It's just, you don't need, there's so much easy to spend excess on, and it's just not necessary. And it really adds up.
It sounds so lame when you say it, but it's really that's how it is, right? Like something as simple as, I make my own lunch every day. dude, that adds up. Like that's a huge amount of money, right?
You want to know what I find lame? Spending 40 hours a week doing some shit I don't want to do.
Thank you, dude. That's when you should have dropped the right. You're right. No, you're. Yeah, hit him in the gut with it, dude. Hit him in the gut. You're absolutely right. You know, and we had a show the other day that we called, what it says about you when you hate Mondays and you love Fridays. You know, that whole idea of you are working for somebody else. You're working for this thing that you call money so that it can pay for a lifestyle that you have. There are other ways to generate income. Like you are at a point right now in your the way you've described it, where financially you don't have to go to work if you don't want to. You can if you do, right? I had a buddy that is in a very similar situation, and he started to get very depressed. Like he didn't feel like he had purpose. He didn't feel like he was going anywhere. And one of the things I advised him was, look, if you feel like that, go get a job. Like it's not that you need the money, it's that you need a purpose to get up every single day. So you're young. You've hit the point where you don't have to go to work. What is your purpose? What's driving you? What's next in your future?
So I definitely, I got there too. After about 2 months, after a little celebration period, I woke up and I was just like, what is the point?
Yeah.
And I started to get weird. And, I decided to day drink that day, ended up, going all day. How I ended up starting the book is I got like really upset, started like again ranty, and I went on my keyboard. I typed like 1,000 or 2,000 words of just me ranting. Woke up like the next, like it was like 7 a.m. I hadn't gone to sleep yet. Wrote those things, went to bed, woke up at like 2 p.m. because it doesn't matter. Yeah. But then I kept going. I got to like 10,000 words, and I was like, holy shit, there's something here. There's something here, and that is what I spent like 9-10 hours a day for the next like 4 months. And I wrote the whole book, 60,000 words.
So was it like, do you feel it was like therapeutic? Like you're at a point in your life where you didn't really know what's going on, where you're going to go. You've like, people keep talking about this thing called life and these bills that you're going to have. And you're like, well, that's done. What's next? Like, what did you conclude when writing your book? Like, I feel like the book tells your story, but what did you get out of it for your future?
It was extremely therapeutic, don't get me wrong, but also a lot in there is to help people. I've decided that, this is great and all for me, and I'm certainly enjoying myself, but also what's kind of the point if you just take it selfishly to the grave. So it kind of helped me start my own business, which I have on CameronDanalis.com, as you have at the bottom here. But the entire thing is guided towards personal, like one-on-one advising, or like I like to call it strategizing, because we talk, give me your situation, and we'll come up with a strategy on how to make it better, be it mentally, physically, monetarily, or however. But yeah, the boredom led to the book. The book led to a lot of, I received such good feedback on it, and that led to the business. And now it's all kind of one and the same.
Dude, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about what I'm going to find on the website. What do I get there? What am I looking for when I go to your website, CameronDanalis.com?
So let's say you've read the book. It makes a lot of sense. It applies to you, and a lot of it's obviously generalized because it's a book. But if you want more, essentially, or if you're just stumbling upon the website and you just want to get going, you put in, I have a section there, you put in your name, email, and then just, you type about yourself. You let me know like a summary of like what your situation is, what you want to improve. And then I'll get back to you, and then we'll do one-on-one hour-long sessions. And basically until you want to be done, and we'll set goals, we'll meet the goals, and come up with the most efficient and monetarily feasible way to get where you want to be.
What about real estate going forward for you? So you're stepping into the coaching realm. You're showing people that, I did it. I'm young. I did it. This is how I did it. And you can come along with me for the ride. And I'll show you how I got it done. What about your future real estate investments? You started doing a couple. I mean, what's in store for you? Are you going to jump into the Airbnb game? You're going to stick with the multi-units? Are you going to get into, 100-unit buildings or more? What's the next thing for you?
I've looked into the big boys, like the 20, 30, 40 units. Those are in the millions and millions of dollars. So I'm not quite there yet. But it's funny you ask. I actually might be, if I'm lucky, fingers crossed, might have a third third duplex lining up. Been making some phone calls this week, and I might be getting lucky.
Nice. Just adding the duplexes. So, for those who are just getting into this real estate space, no, I'm in real estate. I can talk real estate all day long, but I want to hear from you. What did you feel? Was it overwhelming when somebody said, "Hey, maybe you should consider buying a place," versus you going out and renting a place? Was it overwhelming to go through the purchase process when it comes to real estate, especially dealing with, aside from a single family home, you're dealing with multiple doors, 1 to 4?
That is a great question. So, it is overwhelming. It is a lot, but so is everything that is worth doing, right? Like nothing that's good is easy, generally speaking. So I have never rented a place in my life. I went right from parents' house at 19 or 20 to a house, and it was a nightmare. It was so many, forms. It took like 6 months. There's so many people involved. There's so many hands in the pot, and it's very inefficient. It's not cool. It's not fun. It's very invasive, honestly, in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. And even so, if Massachusetts is ranked 50th out of the 50 states worst places to be a landlord, just because it's so stringent on the laws and the regulations and the this and that. Like, you just got to do everything right, which is good, but it's gotten so excessive and people take advantage of the laws. So I ended up taking many real estate classes on like how to do things right, like legal. I spent tons of time and money like preparing myself for this task. Like, people are like, "Oh, you just sit on your ass and collect money." It's like, sure, but also there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that gets involved that you need to be at least semi-intelligent to wrap your head around.
Well, let's do that real quick. Let's talk about some of those hiccups that you're going to see as you become an owner. Not so much, partially a homeowner, but the other side is becoming a landlord, because there's two different sides to that. I mean, one, on the one side, first of all, I commend you for educating yourself in the space that you're about to invest in, because one of those things that it bothers me. People ask me, "Do you invest in crypto or NFTs?" I'm like, well, I'm learning about those things, but I can't say I really invest in them, because I only invest in things that I know. Right. Yeah. And you didn't know real estate, but you dove in and you started to speak that language. Having that knowledge behind you, did it make the process a little bit easier? Did it make, conversating with agents, conversating with lenders and inspectors, did it make that whole process easier?
So yes, and obviously the biggest tool of our generation is, the internet, Google, YouTube, podcasts. I know so many people that commend Bigger Pockets. Their podcast is all real estate of all measures, and that is just an invaluable source of information. Funny enough, when I was working at the bank, one of the clients there was a big real estate guy, and when no one was looking, I started to chat with him, and I actually got his phone number. You're obviously, not necessarily supposed to do that, but I was like, this guy is exactly, who we need. So I got his phone number. We chatted a little. He was like, "Hey, why don't you come to this little meetup that all like local investors go to?" And I was like the youngest, dumbest, green faced guy in there.
Perfect.
Right. And then I go to these things, I get to talk, and I meet realtors, agents, private money lenders, mortgage people. And I'm just meeting all these people and networking. And it was super uncomfortable, but, cause they're all like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And I'm like 20, but, establishing that network early on, getting the people's numbers and contacts and being like, talking to them, "Hey, is this good? Is this bad? Is this stupid? What's the best practice for this?" Networking always has and will be the biggest power move you can do in any field, really, ever.
Kudos to you, dude. Kudos to you. James and I had a very similar experience. We bought our first house when we were 20. And we didn't do the duplex. We just bought a house and rented out the rooms. But when we were about 20, I think I had just turned 21. James was 20 at the time. We went and did a real estate training seminar. Same type of thing. We showed up and we're the youngest kids. I mean, youngest in there. We're in a Vegas conference. James isn't even 21 yet. Can't really gamble, even though we're doing. He's walking around putting coins in the slot machines. That's how old we are, by the way. The slot machines are still taking coins.
I was about to say, man, you're aging us with that one. Coins. Yeah,
a bucket of coins, dude.
It was coins.
Yeah, it was. But it was one of the greatest learning experiences we ever had, right? And I think it's, what I try to explain to people is real estate, finance, accounting, taxes. It's not really a thing more than it is a language. because once you're, you're learning a language, and the fact that you went out and you met with people and you identified that you were the dumbest person in the room, those are the best rooms to be in. Like that's exactly what you want to do. So kudos to you for that. And I mean, for your future, are you gonna stick to this real estate game? You thinking considering about getting back into real estate as like representation or any part of real estate, or is it just on the investor side?
I'll probably do it a little bit forever. I don't know if I'll get like a million different properties, but I think I'll always have a little bit of everything forever, simply because it's always, a good hedge against like inflation, and it's always been the world's best investment. But I want to go back and comment on the dumbest guy in the room thing. It's just so many people are like, I don't know how to do this. I'm uncomfortable. It's so overwhelming. I'm so nervous, anxious, whatever freaking adjective you want to use. Again, yes, that's the point. You can't achieve greatness unless you go through extreme shittiness. You need it. Like it's part of it's a prerequisite. I put that exact story and with more detail in the book itself. It's just you can't surmount great success without surmounting great struggle.
Yeah, you're absolutely. Yeah, and anytime you hit an obstacle like that, the best thing about being the dumbest guy in the room is now you have the contact info of the smarter people in the room to ask for help, right? Like in school they call it cheating. In real life, that's collaborating. That's exactly what you want to do. Yeah, they all like, looked at me and were like, oh, look at this guy. And I was like, I'm talking to them, and they all liked me. They took me under their wing, and like, they gave me their phone numbers. Like one of them is actually still my realtor to this day. And, together we've made a lot of money. So like having those connections, people like older people love seeing younger people doing the thing they're passionate about. Like there's more people out there than you realize who want to help you and like help you grow or even establish mutually beneficial relationships. Well, that last part right there, where they're excited, they're happy, they want to see you grow. There's so many connotations out there where they're like, well, I don't know any rich people, I don't know any real estate people. Oh, they're all XYZ. They name whatever it is that they want to, brandish people as. But most people who are successful at what they do, most people who are professionals, want to help other people. Like they're asking for you to send them a text message, to ask them a question, because it's mutually beneficial. They're a professional in the space. You're learning. We can, the realtor that you're working with, that's to today, like you're always going to reach out to him. That's additional commission on his side. And for you, it's knowledge that you didn't have that you can reach out and ask a question for with a simple text or a simple phone call, right? Yeah. And the best part about it, so when I got to the thing, he showed me that there was like a Facebook page. It's open to the public. The meeting I was at, it was at a local bar, or it was like a bar restaurant type thing, but the event was open to the public. Anyone can walk in. There's no restriction on age, money, nothing. There's just open door policy. Come talk, come look at the PowerPoints, come whatever. And anyone can go, but it's just, you got to find those things. It wasn't a private invite. Isn't it funny how anyone can join the military? Anyone can get that first and 15 paycheck. Anyone can save money. Anyone can go and invest in real estate. Not very many people do. Cameron, you're crushing it, my friend. You are crushing it. If people want to get a copy of your book, if they want to reach out and talk to you, how can they do so? So on Amazon, I have the Kindle version, the ebook version, obviously, and the paperback. I will probably... I've got an audiobook in production. I'm reading it myself. It's been a nightmare. It's been taking a lot more time, money, and energy than realized, but it's almost done. So I don't know when this is coming out, but I'd say by the end of October, maybe mid-November, hopefully the latest. Contact me, shoot me a message on Instagram, on my website there. You can send me an email. Yeah. So all that kind of stuff. Sweet. Cameron, I don't know, how many podcasts have you been on before? A couple, not a ton, but this is not my first. Okay, cool. What was your experience like on our show? I had a great time. I love the little cut-ins with the videos, like the funny things. I like those a lot. But yeah, this has been great. It's been a very natural, very good time. Sweet, my brother. All right, man. Hey, real good luck to you, man. I want to make sure that you use us as a resource as well. We've had your episode 821. We've had over 650 people on the show, all kinds of different professions, CPAs. We've had marketing people, therapists, counselors, all kinds of different people, all kinds of different spaces. So you, as well as anybody listening, use this as a network. So if you have any questions, you want to connect with anybody for any of those professions, feel free to reach out. I wish I could go back and talk to people like you who are just as ambitious and, talk about the different holes that we stepped in, the different mistakes that we've made to avoid those things. Cause that's really what the beautiful part of our show is that people come on and share their stories and talk about those things so that everybody else can learn from their mistakes and from their experiences and their wisdom. So, if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And dude, you are just getting started. Keep kicking ass, man, and taking names to infinity and beyond, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, I love talking to people. You as well. If anyone, all idiots are not created equal.
I love that, Joe. All idiots are not created equal.
Yeah, anyone feel free to reach out. I'm always down to chat or whatever.
Awesome, dude. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week, ladies and gents. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on Monday. Peace, and we're out.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.